for $9 for an entire week, you're spreading your budget across at what, a buck and a quarter a day, a dollar and change. The problem with that is that that's not enough money to get enough leads to bother. So most areas that you do these ads in from a budget standpoint, your cost per click most of the time is going to be somewhere between 40 and 80 cents. Okay? And we'll get into that in a minute.
And Susie's asking, are you sending the thank you through Facebook Messenger or messaging through direct message through Facebook? How are you? Is that how you're thanking them for liking your page?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So when and where to advertise. So this is okay. So everybody's at this point now got the basics of actually walking through and creating the ad itself. And when you get to the end of the ad, you're going to say, okay, submit. It's at the bottom of the page. I didn't put it up here because I didn't think it was necessary, but you're going to click submit. It's going to go through ad review. When ad review is done, you're going to say your ad is reviewed, your ad is approved, and it's going to run for whatever dates you set. When you're in the Facebook Ad Manager, you're going to see things that are active. You're going to see what the clicks count is. You're going to see how many people have clicked through and how much money you've spent on a day-to-day basis. One of the options at the end of the page also is when you're setting your budget, it's going to ask you if you want to set the price to bid or let them maximize and optimize it themselves. Just let Facebook do it. They'll determine what the best budget is for your advertising. And by doing that, that's how you're going to get the lower click-through rate. You could pay the maximum dollar amount, but if you do, you're going to burn your budget in a hurry, and you won't get any more leads. So, all right, so when and where to advertise. And this is why I said let's take some manual control. The best days in my experience, Thursday through Sunday. So, and I'll tell you, right now, at the end of this call, I'm going to go turn my ads on. So, basically at lunchtime is when people spend a lot of time during lunch at work twiddling around on Facebook and looking at stuff. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do. So you'll notice that you get a lot of leads generated then. You're going to get even more leads at dinner time. So between the hours of 5 and 10 p.m. That said, I've had people at 1 o'clock in the morning click on the ad and go, I want information. So, but weekends and the days, Thursday in particular, leading into the weekend, that's when people are thinking about properties. If they're thinking about buying and they still have yet to sell, then they may be planning their open houses. So either way, Thursday and Friday, that's when they're starting to really click into it. Saturday is a pretty good day. Sunday tends to trickle off a little bit. Still not too bad, but Saturday is the sweet spot. The best hours, like I said, 10 to 2, 5 to 10. So you can, in Power Editor, set up the times to do this specifically. Again, done that. Don't think it's effective. I'm just telling you so you know when you're going to get the most hits. You never know. You get people in the off hours and it works.
So do you just turn it on Thursday morning and turn it off on Sunday, or do you actually like go in
Yeah, what I
twice a
no,
day and do stuff?
nope, I go. So what I do is it like, so what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll say, okay, turn it on. So the ad campaign is up there, same ads, tweak the photos or rotate through the photos, just like I said. Or, if there's a new ad or a new place I need to go, I'll create a new ad from scratch. But mostly it's just running the same ads in the same markets. And then turn them on, let them run. You get the leads, they come through, you manage them. You got to do what you got to do to figure out how you're going to handle them. I'll get to that in a minute. And then because I set the end time, the end date for Sunday, I don't have to do anything else. I just flip the switch and turn it on. That's all I have to do. And I set it to turn off at 11 o'clock on Sunday. I figure after that, most people who are thinking about doing something in the house are asleep and getting ready for work. So you can spend money advertising all week long. I've done that too. I just have found that the response rates are lower Monday through Wednesday. So rather than spending all that extra money for the off chance, because Facebook's going to keep pumping the ads out because they want your money. So the people who click through during those time periods, in my experience, don't tend to be the ones that click through and actually enter their information. So they're looky-loos, they're tire kickers, whatever you want to call them. I just find that the rate of return for the ad money is not as good. So I don't run it Monday through Wednesday, and that cuts my budget back. Saves me money, more money to spend on generating actual leads. The other thing is that the optimal age range is usually 30 and up. That's not to say, again, that you can't get people who are condo buyers or whatever, people who bought a condo when they were younger. But in general, the 30 and up range seems to generate the best results. Targets, again, 8 to 25,000 people. That's the sweet spot. You can go a little higher, 30 to 40,000. You're kind of pushing it when you get into that range. The sweet spot is at 8 to 25. Budget strategy, running multiple ads in different neighborhoods. Best way to go. $5 a day is the sweet spot. I've tried it at 10. It does result in generating more ads, but it depends on the size of the market. So if you have more people, let's say you've got 40,000 people you're going after, that might be worth spending $10 a day on versus a zip code that's only got, say, 10,000. Then in that one, you can get away with 5. So you choose based on the number of potential people you can hit. That's going to get you the best results. Average price per click, 35 to 70 cents is what I put in here. That's generally kind of true. I actually upped it a little bit to 40 to 80. I went back in and looked at some of my ads. I mean, a lot of them are below 40, but 40 to 80 I think is a slightly better range. If you're paying $1.25 to $1.50, it's probably in a high value neighborhood where the users are, there's not as many Facebook users, and so your ads will show up, but you won't get as many clicks. So that's where you get the higher price per click. You may not want to chase those unless the property values warrant spending the money generating the leads. Always let Facebook do the bidding, which is what I mentioned earlier, and never let your ad continuously run. So like I said, turn it off, and you'll keep control of your money. Your money spent. If you're doing 3 zip codes, $5 a day, that's $60 a weekend. You're talking about $240 a month. At least up here, my general experience is I'm going to generate. Last weekend was a little light, and it's going to be a little tougher going into this time of year, but I would expect no less than 6 leads in any given weekend. These are full leads, meaning the people put their name, email, you've got the address, so you've got contact information. I've had, the best I ever had in any one weekend was about 25, maybe a little more than that. So you're looking at, in any given month, somewhere in the range of 25 to 100, depending upon how many places you're going, fully qualified leads. In my book, these are all C leads. So I'm not going to hype it up and tell you that, oh my God, these are people who are ready to sell their house tomorrow. They're C leads. But in my experience, if you're able to get in touch with these people quickly, meaning face-to-face contact, and this goes back into the lead management point that I was talking about earlier. If you get back in touch with these people pretty quickly, you'll find that the conversion rate is pretty high. So your ability to get these people to go from being C lead to a B lead, meaning they're going to do something in the next 6 months, or even an A lead, which is to me somebody doing something in the next 90 days, is much higher than most other advertising platforms. So let's put it this way. Last weekend, of the leads I got, one of them, unfortunately, had literally just signed with another broker. But that was, and it had nothing to do with the fact that, the response time. But the point is that this was somebody who was actively interested. They were just looking for a second opinion. So that's fine, fair enough. But it's also a good proof point that says that's somebody who's ready to sell their house. So again, conversion rate potential is much higher with these ads. So that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, I have some questions. As far as the budget strategy, so you said it's more densely in some more densely populated areas, or higher price. Is that because more people are bidding, so they raise the price?
No. So when you're in a market where there are fewer users and fewer people clicking through, the number of the price you have to pay to get their attention goes up. So it just costs more.
Okay, my next question is with regard to follow-up. What do you
Okay.
do? How do you do it? How do you keep
What?
track? All that stuff.
Okay. Perfect question. So generally, let's put it this way. So the drip systems are automatically going to do follow-up. You're going to get an instant valuation. You'll get it in a few minutes. And then if the drip system, like in home value leads, for example, they'll get automated emails over the next 72 hours. To me, that's what I would consider to be minimal follow-up. In my experience, in the first 3 to 5 days, you need to schedule some sort of pop-by. The other thing you need to do is call. So whenever a lead comes in, I look at their first thing I do is I scrub these leads. Okay, not every lead you get is going to be valid. So the first thing I do is I go into the tax records and I take a look and see, is this home something that's recently transacted? I've had this happen. I've actually had properties that were in contract where somebody related to the property, whether it's buyer or seller, has gone off to check a valuation. Maybe they thought they paid too much. Maybe the seller thought that they didn't get as much as they should. You need to go into the tax records. Realist is a great tool if you're in California, whatever. But you need to find out, is this something that is actively in contract or recently sold? To me, if it sold the last 6 months, they're not going to sell their house. They're just trying to find out how much they've made. Not a lead, get rid of it. Then you need to find out if it's actually the owner. Had that happen. So people who are curious about a home value for whatever reason put in their information on a property that they have no interest in. So again, you can find out what the motivation is if you want to. To me, not a good lead. Waste of time. But more importantly, you're going to get full name. You're going to clarify who the owner is. Then you're going to go off to something like whitepages.com or Intellus or any number of other big data resources. And you're going to type in the name of the owner, the name of the city, the two-state abbreviation code, and the word phone. Okay? So, and in quotes. So it's Joe Smith. So you're going to do quote, Joe Smith, unquote. Let's say Newport Beach, CA, the word phone. That's going to bring up a whole bunch of different websites. They're going to have the potential of giving this guy's phone number. Okay? So if you're going to try to do follow-up, you don't want to be driving all over the place. So I love the idea of a pop-by, but I also like the idea of a 60-second phone call to find out what is this guy interested in. And your goal is to introduce yourself. That level of personalization makes it different in conversion rates. So the phone call is used to validate that the lead is of interest. If you can't get a phone number, because there are people with unlisted phone numbers, do a pop-by. You're going to drive up. If you're not comfortable with door knocking, that's fine. If you're concerned about door knocking laws that restrict your access, these people have requested information to you and initiated a relationship. You have the ability to go knock on their door. So stop by, introduce themselves. I did this last night with somebody. The guy's got a $2 million house that he's interested in putting on the market. He's going to buy in the same general vicinity at least half again that much in terms of price range. That's going to be a great relationship. His decision point is in the next 4 to 5 months. We're going to put a meeting together and talk. That was because of the door knock.
Now, did
So
you
the
go by,
follow-up is the
do you
conversion.
bring like a full CMA, like an RPR CMA or cloud CMA or touch CMA? Do you ever bring those by when you go by and door knock?
Never. And the reason I don't is because what I want to do is I want to have a human-to-human conversation. I want to get an understanding of it's an initial consultation in the door knock. What you're asking them is, what are your plans? It's really basic. You don't need to get into the numbers. You want to get into their motivation. You want to learn a bit about them, talk about them. If they got a nice house, great. How long have you lived here? I've lived here for 10 years. Maybe you know the neighborhood. If you do know the neighborhood, talk about something that goes on in the neighborhood. Talk about something, whatever you're going to do, however you want to have the conversation. But the purpose of the conversation is to get to know them, establish a trust relationship. Don't make it a pitch. Your goal is not to pitch. because if your goal is to pitch, they're going to smell that. Your goal is to be their trusted advisor. So skip the CMAs and the rest of it, because if their decision is not going to be made in the next week, CMA is worthless anyway. So
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so there's a number of other questions. First of all, we are recording the webinar and we'll get that up and we'll blast out the link in the next couple of days so you if you want to watch it again or share it with anybody else. Michelle is asking if you could explain more about how the instant response component works, because in the ad you say, you're going to get your instant home valuation. So can you talk a little more about the funnel, the communication with home value leads and what happens. I'm just using home value leads as an example with these products, how they actually physically work.
okay, so Boomtown's the same way. Listing to leads is the same way. When the person goes to the landing page and puts in their address, and then they're prompted to put in their name and their contact info, and obviously to get an instant valuation, they have to put in a valid email address. Um, Once they put that information in there, the system will run whatever backend algorithm they have. Every vendor is different, but when they get that, within a matter of minutes, they're going to get a follow-up email that says, click here for your report. Some of them will give the report real time in the browser, but every one of them follows up with an email. So that starts the drip. And again, every one of them is different in terms of timing. You can configure what the backend response is, what email messages are sent to these people. Generally, what I do with mine is send, they get the initial response that says, here's your report. And then within 24 hours, there's a second email that comes back and said, hey, thank you for signing up. Just wanted to make sure that you got your report. Could you let us know that you received it? That's it. You're not trying to sell them anything. Again, you're just trying to establish contact and provide value to the consumer. I get a lot of people that send responses back to me that said, yep, got it, thank you. That's it. Then it's up to the drip campaign. And every product is different. The content within those is different. But generally, your drip campaigns should be customized to talk about either the market in general. In other words, if you're in a strong market, it's a seller's market, emphasize the benefits of selling their home now, right? Because you got to have a call to action. But that's not going to be in every email. So my emails start off with, this is a good time to sell. Don't get too wordy. Just a simple 2-paragraph email. Just keep it succinct. You can update that email based on what you know of the market, but keep that super simple. Just give them what they need to know. The follow-on email should be to pitch why you're better or different. So you're going to be trying to give these people some reason for why they should work with you, and scatter it over the next 60 to 90 days. Most of these systems have ongoing drip updates that give updated valuation reports every 30 days. So every 30 days, for as far out as you're going to go, they're going to continue to get these reports. Other than that, again, conversion comes down to contact. So the drip is not going to result in somebody calling you up and saying, hey, I want you to sell my house. Not going to happen. You're going to have to get in front of them.
Okay. All right. Here, I think I know what your answer is to this one, but Beatrice is asking, how long should you run the ad campaign for? So we know you should run it from Thursday. The best days are Thursday to Sunday. And do you ever break, or do you just run it throughout the year?
Throughout the year, it's interesting is I ran it over the Halloween weekend, and one of my agents actually said that Halloween was a great time to get leads, and so we ran it, and the responses were not good. So I don't know. It could be great. I don't know. This is a great time of year because most of the people that are thinking about selling in the spring are thinking now. So this is a great time to advertise. I don't know if advertising over holidays is a good idea. You know what? If you're only going to spend a few bucks, maybe.
And something that I'm working on, I don't know it would apply here, but I've noticed that when there's a long weekend, that Monday I get a lot of click-throughs on things because by Monday, someone that's had a 3-day weekend has already done their Saturday stuff, their Sunday stuff, and now they're sitting around cruising the internet. So I've actually have followed a campaign for the whole year, and every time Monday was a holiday, I got a lot more clicks.
Wow.
So
Well,
that's something to explore if we've got, and also on Sunday night of Thanksgiving weekend, I noticed that too. People are sitting so I wouldn't, if you're going to try doing it, I would maybe keep it on on the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend, maybe through Monday, just kind of to see if you get some extra clicks on Sunday night after 11, as Brian suggested, turning off at 11. Okay, Kay is asking, talk about a lifetime budget. Is it wise to choose a lifetime budget?
Well, that's interesting. The lifetime budget strategy, tried that. Um, I don't like it, but for some people it works, for some people it doesn't. Uh, the challenge on the lifetime budget is that to scale you're going to scale the expense across however many days are between the first date, the start date, and the stop date. So it's kind of the same difference. You're just saying, here's what we're going to do. And if you're going to do that across 30 days, or let's say a year, then you got to figure out what your total spend is in advance and then just run it. I'm not a fan.
Okay. And then Michelle is asking about scripting. I guess she's asking if you ask if they're working with an agent when you're talking to them.
Yes, but it's not the initial response. For example, this one house that I stopped by, that the guy's going to put his house on the market in the next 5 to 6 months. He actually brought up that we have an agent that we've worked with, but unless they've got a contract in place, um, it's fair game, right? So they don't have an active listing agreement. If they have an active listing agreement, obviously, you're out the door. That's when you stop. But if they don't, it's competitive, right? I mean, this is what we're here to do. So again, going back to the points of you're trying to offer your differentiation, know in advance what it is that you do better than somebody else. What makes you special? What can you do for this seller? Do you have more information on the market? Do you have a better marketing strategy? Do you have some services that you offer that make it easier to work with you than the other guy? Have all that stuff in your list of things to discuss, but don't be dissuaded. Unless they have an active listing agreement, it doesn't really matter.
So I have, right now we're kind of low on questions, but I have two questions. And if you guys have any more questions, write them in because we are kind of wrapping up. But my first question is, you talked about duplicating the ad. Is there an easy way to do that? And then my second question is, you wrote a fabulous article several weeks ago about A, B, C, and D leads, I believe. And
Yep.
if you could, yeah, I think that would be nice to share since you were using some of your own terminology about what A, B, and C leads are. If you could talk about both of those things, I think it would be really, really helpful.
What was the first one again?
Just if it's, how do you do a duplicate ad? If there just, you just click and say copy this ad, or if there,
There is an ability to duplicate an ads, and it is in the campaign manager, the ad management function in there.
okay,
Um, you know, Again, for as fast as it goes, I actually
hmm
don't use that, oddly enough.
hmm
But you can. So if you just
okay,
want to do multiple creations, yes, it's easy to do.
perfect.
To the other question on A, B, and C leads, right? So goes back to an article that I wrote on the 6 lists every agent needs, right? So you've got all these different lists, and they're contact lists of how you manage your leads, or people who are in your sphere or past clients. So where all of this stuff comes in is in the A, B, and C category. So the A category are people who are going to make a very quick decision. Either they're going to sign a listing agreement in the next 90 days, or they're going to buy something in the next 90 days. And they're committed. They're actively engaged. They're loyal to you. You know them. They trust you. There's a relationship. B leads are, you've got a relationship. These people are probably not going to do anything for the next 6 months, maybe even as far out as a year. But again, you've got a relationship, they trust you, and there's a very high rate of conversion between a B and an A. So those folks are the folks that you're trying to get to. With all of the leads that you're generating through these ads, you're trying to get them to be Bs. The Cs are pretty much everybody else. C leads are where you need to be generating hundreds of leads over the course of the year. I mean, again, it depends on your target, right? If you're trying to close one deal a year, one deal a month, one deal a year, that would be bad. If you're trying to generate a closing a month, and let's say your average selling price is $1 million. I don't know, we've got listeners in from around the market. I keep using California numbers, which are just frightening. A little more realistic. Let's say we're doing a $500,000, right? So that applies to more markets around the country. And you're trying to close, one of those a month. So you're going to need to generate a lot of C leads to get to those closings, because your ability to convert these people from C to B and then B to A is going to take time. Most listing decisions take 8 to 9 months to convert. So somebody that you meet today who's a C lead comes in through the system, gets your emails. The process is going to take you 8 to 9 months in most cases to get them from, hi, how are you, what's your name, to, my God, you're the best agent ever, thank you for helping us sell our house. That's the thing with all of these ad campaigns that you need to keep in mind, that even if you generate these leads now, you have to be patient with the process, because the chances of getting one of these leads where somebody's ready to sign tomorrow are pretty low. It happens. I mean, right? I just generated one over the weekend where they literally signed just like that. But it's rare. So managing through that cycle is all about how you do follow-up. And just like every other lead management process, you got to do what works for you, but it has to include FaceTime. So, the drip campaigns will push it through, but in order to convert them from a C to a B, you're going to have to meet them. Call them into your office, pop by their house, call them on the phone, whatever. But, you just have to get them through your funnel. That's what's going to result in sales.
Cool, cool. Did you read the book Seven Levels of Communication?
Not yet.
Okay, so that's a really great book because it talks a lot about establishing rapport and getting to that top level where everyone becomes like your best billboard, constantly referring you everywhere. And it's so short. You can read it like in 2 hours. So if anyone is looking for something fun to read that's related to business, it's called The Seven Levels of Communication. Let me see. I actually don't think we have any more questions. Brian, thank you so much. This was so helpful. I know you are really, really busy with Katera Real Estate because it's growing so quickly, and I'm just excited that you had the time to share with me and all the people. We had a very large audience, and again, it was included a lot of your fans and for very good friends in Active Rain. So it's nice to know that you're very, very popular.
Okay. Love them all. I'm glad everybody was able to make it.
So can you give
Love the
everyone your
experience.
email address so that in case they need to contact you or have any questions later?
Yep. So my email is Brian, Bryan, at katara-re.com. And Katara is spelled, well, you see it down there in the lower right-hand part of the screen. Catarra-re.
And that's Brian with a Y. So Brian at
Yep.
katarare.com. And I'm info at melissazavala.com if anyone needs me, but I was just the Vanna White of this presentation. So, well, thank you again, Brian. Let me see. Let me just run through real
No,
quick and
thanks to you.
see. Who is the author of the book? Kathleen's on, and she wants to. The author of the book is, I think his name is Michael Maher, Maher, Kathleen. And Kathy from La Quinta is saying thank you. You're awesome. And
Hey, thanks for coming, Kathy. Nice to have you here.
so anyway, so thanks again, Brian. And we're going to shut down now. And again, you guys look in the next couple of days. I'll shoot out real quick a link to, in case you want to share the video or watch it again and go through the steps. And thank you again, Brian, for giving us your
Yeah,
time.
you're very welcome.
All right. Take
Thanks.
care. All right. Bye-bye.